Seeing the burned out brake light on the '64 Chevy Impala, rookie Officer Cassie Wright called in the plates. The black car turned into an alley behind a line of boarded up businesses on North Chadbourne Street. The only shop still operating was Sabrina's Bakery at the end of the block. The revitalization of downtown San Angelo, Texas hadn't quite reached this far yet. Cassie had no doubt that in a couple of years investors would come knocking on these doors as well, but right now, this area was deemed one of the worst in town. Sitting behind the wheel of their squad car, Officer Chuck O'Malley, the seasoned veteran Cassie had been assigned to since her very first day, hit the lights. He was the only non native Texan on the force and one of its most respected officers. "We got him blocked in, rookie," O'Malley said. No one at the station ever referred to her by name, always Rookie. She couldn't wait to get rid of that title and become Officer Wright in the department, especially in O'Malley's eyes. She'd asked her partner how long it would be before she could shed the rookie title. He'd addressed her in a tone that was gentle, more like a dad talking with a daughter than a hard boiled cop putting a rookie in their place. "Not sure. That'll depend on several things. Do you have to be led by the hand through every procedure? Will you learn fast? Can I trust you to have my back when things get tough? When the shit hits the fan, you'll know when you've grown a pair. That might take a month, a year, 5 years, or it might never happen. It all depends on you, Officer Wright." That was the first and last time he'd ever called her by name. Day one. Next week would be her 6-month anniversary wearing the badge. She and O'Malley had faced some difficult situations, and he'd often praised her afterward on her skills. And yet he still called her Rookie. Though she had never known her real father, O'Malley felt like a dad to her on many levels. Cassie wasn't parentless. She had a mother who lived in a small rural town only 25 miles west of San Angelo. Although she loved her, Cassie always felt her mom had a few screws loose because of her fanatical beliefs in the supernatural, especially her fascination with blood. Always the damn blood. That's why, of all the officers Cassie could have been assigned to, she was glad it had turned out to be the middle aged, sensible minded, slightly balding, gray headed man who had offered her the well known cop's olive branch her first day on the job, a bad cup of coffee. O'Malley had requested her out of the 5 new recruits who joined the force that day. Turned out he had been quite the sharpshooter like her when he'd come out of the police academy years earlier. "The owner of the Impala is Ann Bennett," the dispatcher's voice shot back through the radio. "Last reported residence was 1659 East 14th Street. Bennett is 66 years old, has no arrest or outstanding warrants. Car has not been reported stolen." 10-4, Cassie responded. "Driver is a white male, dark hair, wearing a black jacket." What could this man be to Ann Bennett that she would trust him with her vehicle? How are they connected? "Standing by." She released the transmit button. "Might be a relative of the owner." "Or a boyfriend," O'Malley said. "Whoever the guy is, he can't drive out of the alley." She nodded, seeing the large delivery truck parked behind the bakery blocking the exit. The driver of the Impala stepped out, waved, and smiled at them. Time to go to work. She and O'Malley exited their car. "Stay where you are, sir," O'Malley ordered the driver, "and keep your hands where I can see them." "Yes, officer." With her hand on her weapon, Cassie moved to the back of Ann Bennett's vehicle, assessing the driver and taking note of their surroundings. She guessed the guy's age to be mid-20s. His height at 5'8", about 3 inches taller than she was, black jacket, brown shorts, sandals, a tribal tat circled his left ankle. His frame was quite slim, 130 pounds at most, short dark hair, brown eyes. His face had several open sores, which could mean a couple of things: a bad case of acne, or he was a drug user. Cassie suspected the latter. Having an eidetic memory, she would never forget his face. Every detail would remain with her for the rest of her life. Her incredible memory gave her many advantages, but more often than not, it was actually a burden. If she could get rid of just one embarrassing memory, it would be the Mertzen Halloween Festival when she was 6. Seeing the shocked looks on her classmates' faces as her mother dragged her away from the event was burned in her mind, just as fresh and painful now as the day it had happened. According to her mother's craziness, her unusual memory was due to some special genetics. Ridiculous. "Do you know why we stopped you?" her partner asked the driver. "No, sir." The man's eyes darted back and forth from her to O'Malley and back again. Cassie noted that even with the calm voice he was using, his anxiety was clear, which put her on guard. "I wasn't speeding, was I?" Coming around the other side of the Impala, Cassie peered in. The seats were empty, but on the floorboard she saw two large, clear plastic bags filled with a white, powdery substance. "Hands in the air," she ordered the driver, pulling her gun from the holster. "O'Malley, 2 bags of narcotics, front passenger floorboard." Her partner drew his gun. "You heard her. Hands up." The driver sent his hands into the air, making her think this was going to go off without any trouble. But out of the corner of her eye, she saw movement. Another man was creeping beside an industrial trash dumpster where he'd obviously been hiding. She turned just in time to see the bastard point a gun at her partner's back. Realizing they had interrupted a drug deal, Cassie swung around, aiming her weapon. All the possible targets on the assailant's body flashed in her mind. She could shoot the man between his eyes or in his heart, taking him out for all time. It would be easy. One shot would stop the perp from harming her partner. But that wasn't her best option. Better to incapacitate the creep so she and O'Malley could bring him in for questioning. In the academy, they were trained to shoot center mass because there was less chance of missing the target. But Cassie didn't miss. Ever. All these thoughts and more went through her head in a fraction of a second. She squeezed the trigger of her Smith & Wesson, firing a bullet into the shooter's arm. He dropped his weapon and fell to the ground. O'Malley swung around, giving the driver a window of opportunity to escape. The man started running. Without hesitation, O'Malley ran after him. The shooter, who was closer to her, jumped to his feet and raced away in the opposite direction toward the delivery van. Even wounded, he was fast. But Cassie was faster, tackling him only a few yards from the dumpster. She pulled the man's hands behind his back and slapped cuffs around his wrists. "You're hurting me," he complained. "You have my sympathies," Casey shot out, the sarcasm as quickly as a bullet. "You shouldn't have tried to shoot my partner." Unlike his buddy, this guy wore a white t-shirt and black slacks. He looked like he could be a waiter on his way to start his shift. She glanced over her shoulder and saw O'Malley had the other drug dealer cuffed and on the ground. O'Malley reported their situation back to Central. 2 men in custody, 1 man shot. Request an ambulance. Situation under control. 10-4, backup arriving on scene 5 minutes out. Following protocol, Cassie frisked her prisoner. The blood from the bullet wound saturated his bright white garb. The wound would heal over time, although much longer than it would have taken for her to heal if things had turned out differently. Her mother's voice whispered inside her head, "You heal faster because of our lineage, Cassie." She willed her mother's babblings away. She had a job to do. Discovering a knife in her suspect's left pocket and a little bag of heroin in the other, confidence and a bit of glee knowing this rookie had made the right call rolled through her system. "You got a name?" The drug dealer glared at her but didn't respond. She noted the marks on his arms, a clear indication that he was not just selling the crap, but was also heavily into using. With his hand on the other guy's head, O'Malley placed his suspect in the back seat of the squad car. Once the dealer was secure, he shut the door. As her partner moved next to her, Cassie heard sirens in the near distance. "They'll be here any minute." O'Malley nodded. "So much for a routine traffic stop, Officer Wright." She couldn't help but smile, hearing him call her by name. "That's for sure, Officer O'Malley." "Nice shot." His compliments were always short and to the point, just the way she liked them. "You kept me from taking a bullet in the back, and me so close to retirement. Thanks." "Just doing my job, partner. Just doing my job." That was episode 1, Trigger Point, part of Morvicti Execution. New episodes drop every Monday and Friday, or you can binge the full series early on patreon.com/Lee Swift. If you're enjoying the story, subscribe, share, and hit the notification bell to stay in the loop. Thanks for listening. See you next time.